Tyranny does that. Tyranny makes everyone have to think through things. John MacArthur has shifted on his positions, I believe. And you've got a lot of people working through this. So we do see we're to submit to authorities. Now where do we see a problem? Well, at verse 3, for rulers are not a terror to good conduct, but to bad. Well, obviously, we see that rulers right now are a terror to good conduct and reward bad conduct. That's what we're living in right now. And I would say because they're in disobedience to the Constitution, that they're in disobedience to the law of the land, and I would say that our governing authority is the Constitution, and I think that gives a right to have civil disobedience where it is permitted. I do think that's definitely the case. So like Grace Community Church, John MacArthur's church, when you say, well, we're not gonna, you're not allowed to meet as a church, you're not allowed to have freedom of religion, freedom of assembly. They say that's a constitutional issue. You can't do that. And then just scripturally, our faith, we must obey God rather than men. So for rulers are not a terror to good conduct, but to bad. Would you have no fear of the one who is in authority? Then do what is good, and you will receive his approval. For he is God's servant for good. But if you do wrong, be afraid, for he does not bear the sword in vain. For he is the servant of God, an avenger who carries out God's wrath on the wrongdoer. And he is a servant of God, the one that's in authority. And I did hear James White say something that I think should be considered. I mean, he said things about, he's hearing people say things that they would never say in 2019. Tyranny does that. Tyranny makes everyone have to think through things. John MacArthur has shifted on his positions, I believe. And you've got a lot of people working through this. But pastors, theologians, the theo guys, unfortunately, there are certain groups that look down on those that are like the exegetical guys, the theology guys, the Bible guys. Well, guess what? The Bible guys are concerned about the gospel. They're concerned about preserving the gospel. They're concerned about the purity of the gospel. And so I think that Josh Buice said this. So if I say something you don't like, then you don't like what Josh Buice said too. I think there are certain things that will be, that there are certain things that are not attacking, this is how I'm saying it though, differently than him, but there are certain things that will be attacking there are certain things that are not attacking the centrality of the gospel. They're not a compromise that we can agree on. But things that I already laid out, though, like righteous rulers. We want righteous rulers and righteous living and righteous laws. Like those things are wonderful things, and desiring them and benefiting from them is very different than enforcing them and putting them as the main priority in terms of dominionism. To watch more about the G3 controversy and how people are trying to cancel them and maybe even cancel you next, be sure to watch this video right here.